So they've been making these little pathways through the snow and going to different spots, clumps of willow, and gathering that willow. They've left a little behind, but they've taken some of this back to their lodge for their cache. This is an exceptional lodge and a great example of how beavers will be able to come out of their lodge. The water here is all frozen over, the pond is frozen, and beavers will be able to come out of their lodge under the water all winter long, grab a snack, bring it up inside their lodge, have their meal, and never have to go out on land all winter long. Okay, so I want you to notice that they have been making these little trails with their feet, and then their tail makes it flat, and then they're going to these spots right here at the willow, stopping at the willow and cutting down a few of them, and then they've left a few behind. They must have had a full belly, or maybe their mouth was full of willow, and then they're going right there, over there, and you can see the little path, indentation in the snow, where they've gone to that little patch of willow, and they've been nibbling and eating there, and then some of it they're taking back to their lodge for their food cache. For safety, beavers create beautiful dams like this one behind me, and what that damming does in flowing water is it creates a pond behind it, and in the far back you can see a big lodge that they've created. It's a great example of how when they dam, it creates a pond, and then in the middle of the pond where they're safe, they create a lodge, and then they don't have to be out on land where they're more vulnerable to predators. So I want you to notice that this is where their pathway is, where they're coming from their lodge over there, across South Mineral Creek, up over on this side where the yummy willow is. Have you ever wondered how beavers survive the winter? What do they do? We're here on South Mineral Creek in Silverton, Colorado, and we've been beaver hunting, but not the kind that you think of. We're beaver hunting to see how the beavers are getting through the winter, and one of the things that we found is there's this beautiful slide. There's a lodge over there we'll show you in just a minute, and they've been creating a food cache. And we could also see from far away from the lodge that there was this slide going into the South Mineral Creek near here. And so we followed their little pathways. You can see these wide pathways right here and right there. And what's neat is this one goes to that spot right there, and you can see that they've nibbled some, and then I have some in my hands that they left behind. And then they've gone over to that spot right there, and they've been grabbing food. And then they've wandered down this, and you can see this like flat like path, and that's their tail that's making that indentation. And then they've gone behind me back here, and they've gone to different spots. You can see where they've stopped at the willow, and they're eating the willow. And what they're doing is they're taking the willow, they'll peel the outer bark and then eat the cambium layer. The spot that they're at isn't totally frozen over yet. It's early December in Silverton. We're at 10,000 feet. It's not frozen over yet. So they're still able to get in and out of their lodge because the water isn't frozen over. So they're still out gathering, food. But eventually the water will freeze over, and they'll only be able to eat their food cache. And we'll go over there in just a minute and show you what that looks like. We are here today in Silverton, Colorado, very high mountain tributary of Cement Creek, about 300 feet above the creek, where, as you can see, there's these beautiful beaver chew. They've been very busy. Some might be concerned that the beavers are going to take all the trees, but here in Silverton, Colorado, they're really helping out the community. Several years ago, there was a mine that broke at Cement Creek, and all those tailings spilled orange water for about a week into the tributary of Cement Creek down into the Animas River. And it was pretty devastating to see that much mine spill going into the creek, so much of it all at once. And what beavers have done since then is they've gone and they've dammed up where Cement Creek was spilling those tailings into the creek. And there are many different acid mines here that are still flowing into the creeks here, and the beavers have been going in and damming up those spills and slowing down that leaching of those heavy metals into the creek and then into the river. People don't realize that, beaver, yes, they're taking down the trees for their own purpose. They want to create a pond, which then they can have a lodge and have safety from predators. But the gift that they're giving to humanity and that they've been giving to the earth, as basically the wetlands they create are the earth's kidneys, the EPA says. What they are offering back is that they capture these ponds, and the plants that grow around these ponds are actually capturing those heavy metals, those sediments. It captures arsenic, and the ponds capture it when the sediment is running off, and then the plants that are there actually take on those heavy metals and take that out of the river system, so that downstream from there it's clean, beautiful water. What a gift that beavers offer. And as you can see, yes, they've been very busy. Have you ever wondered how beaver make it through the winter when the ponds freeze over? Well, we have a beautiful lodge here in Silverton, Colorado. We're at 10,000 feet elevation. And at this lodge, at the base of this lodge, under the water, there's this huge food cache, beaver refrigerator, that they've been gathering all this willow from across the creek there and creating this big food cache. How they do that is they'll gather branches and they'll stick it in the mud right outside their lodge entrance. And then in the winter, when this freezes over, we're early December right now, so the water isn't fully frozen. But when this freezes over, they don't have to go out on land where they're beaver nuggets for predators, easy prey. They can just sleep in their lodge, stay in their lodge all winter long. They'll sneak out their entrance, gather a stick or a branch, take it inside, have their snack, their meal, and be able to survive the winter, the cold winters up here. Beaver eat about 2 pounds of cambium layer, the inner bark of the plants and trees that they eat. They eat about 2 pounds a day, and this is a really neat spot too, because we can see that they're still active on the edge of the lodge here. You can see a little trail that they make with their tail. They've been still out. And then behind me over here, we can see a little beaver slide, an indentation in the snow where they're still hopping over and going from pond to pond.